Hi students, welcome to my class. Today we are going to learn about the topic the Irish Home Rule. It is a major incident in the early 20th century England. So in this class we are going to look about the background and the major incidents related to the Irish Home Rule. So let's go through it in detail. It was a movement that campaigned for the self-government or a home rule for the Ireland within the United Kingdom, which means Ireland always remained under the government of the Great Britain. Then it is a dominant political movement of Irish nationalism. The major leaders who always revolted for this home rule were known as Irish nationalists. The Irish Home Rule revolt or the struggle was begun in 1870 and it extended up to the end of World War I. The need of Ireland was they always wanted to secure an internal autonomy for Ireland within the British Empire. When they stand alone, they can implement new developments or new progress measures as their own. When they are standing under the power of UK, they did not feel any freedom. Then the first Home Rule Bill, with the help of Irish nationalists, they first presented the first Home Rule Bill in 1886. But the government of UK rejected it because they were not ready to give the freedom to the Ireland. The second Home Rule Bill was presented before the UK government in 1893, but it also got failed because the UK government or the authority was very adamant. They were not ready to give the freedom. They always wanted the Ireland under their rule. Then again, the Ireland nationalists presented the third bill in 1912. But this was special because it was not just a bill, they were very determined to access their requirement. So this was not just a presentation of bill but more than that. They started continuous agitation. So they started continuous struggle for the attainment of their need. As a beginning or as the first step for their need, the Irish National Party strongly revolted for the Home Rule and they started continuous revolt or continuous struggle to attain their need. But there was a clash or there was a internal conflict among the Irish people itself because the people in Ulster, that is the northeast of Ireland, was against the Home Rule as they always want to remain under England. They did not want to remain in the Catholic Ireland. So the people in Ulster, the northeast of Ireland, were not ready to belong to this struggle. They always want to remain under the rule of England. Then the Irish nationalists under Sinn Féin, who advocated complete independence for Ireland, refused to leave Ulster out of the agreement. When we talk about the Irish Home Rule, we can see that the major or the main leader of Irish Home Rule was Sinn Féin, who always wanted to form a self-government for the Ireland, and also he was not ready to leave the Ulster out of his agreement. Then at the same time, the First World War, the notorious First World War arrived. So their need and their revolt get suspended. If the First World War was not happened there will be a chance of internal civil war in the Ireland. But the arrival of First World War break their revolt. The Irish Home Rule struggle get an interval because of the notorious First World War. So the problem was that the amendment and the Home Rule Act was suspended for a particular period due to the arrival of First World War. Then Then while this First World War is happening in the world, the Irish people again start a revolt for their need. It was in 1916 the Easter Rebellion was break out in Ireland. It was purely a rebellion for the accessment of their or the attainment of their need. That is a home rule for their land. See, as we all know, Sinn Féin was the leader of this rebellion. The rebellion was so notorious and brutal because it was a continuous 5 days of fighting, and there was an execution of 15 leaders. So the revolt was not so good, but it made some adverse effect on the people of Ireland. Related to this rebellion, the famous Irish poet says in his poem Easter 1916, he says, "All had now utterly changed, a terrible beauty is born." This line suggests that the Irish people get what they want, but the beauty was not so pleasing. The beauty was terrible. It is a terrible beauty. Because there was continuous assassination and continuous execution of the Irish nationalist leaders. So the result, when they reached their needed result, the result was not so pleasing. Then they established their own Irish assembly in 1919 and embarked upon a concerted armed campaign against the British. So after the rebellion also, they were not going to back out, or they are not ready to decline their struggle or the revolt. They always wanted the freedom, the need, or their need for a home rule was so strong, and they always raised the continuous voice for that purpose. So in 1920, Government of Ireland Act of 1920 partitioned Ireland into Ulster and the South. It means as per the need of Ulster, they remained under the British rule, and the other portions were given the home rule or the power of self-government. But the Anglo-Irish Civil War continued until 1921. The Southern Ireland were given the status of self-governing dominion, leaving the Ulster as a separate part of UK. So this is the history, or these are the major historical events in the Irish Home Rule. Irish Home Rule is a major incident in the early 20th century England's history. Now also today we know that today also Ireland is standing as a separate portion. So the Ireland is not under the authority of the United Kingdom. This is all about the Irish Home Rule. Thank you.